Welcome to According to Sam, folks. This is episode 339. Thank you for joining me today. Got a lot to share with you guys, so I'm hoping that I can get to everything that I have in the portal today. So let's get right into it. Going to pick up where we left off in the last podcast. I'm going to begin this podcast by talking about the Times article that we talked about from last week that showed, it was an analytic report that showed in the 30 states that track voters registration by party, that Democrats over the last 4 years, and as I've been explaining to you, that this is a problem with the Democratic Party that goes back beyond 4 years. It goes back to 2010 is when this started. It was definitely a problem at the end of the Obama administration. And instead of taking their medicine and evaluating the party after Clinton lost in 2016, they perpetuated the Russiagate hoax, and we had the Mueller investigation throughout Trump's first term that led into impeachment, that led into COVID, and then we got the 2020 election. Joe Biden becomes president, and over the 4 years of the Joe Biden presidency, from 2020 to 2024, is when this analytic report from the New York Times looks at, and it shows that Democrats have lost over 2 million voters. At the same time, Republicans have gained 2 million registered voters. These are people registering with these respective parties. And this is something they get into on, I mean, everyone's been talking about it, but they get into it on this week, the ABC Sunday show. And I want to start with the clip from this segment on This Week with Hot Carl.
Convinced that if Texas does not take this action, that there is
this first part, they're getting into the redistricting battle, the mid-decade redistricting that Texas is doing, and then California is going to try to follow suit, and there's many other states that are saying that they're going to get involved. The election next year for the House of Representatives is hugely, hugely, hugely important. There's going to be a lot of, I'm thinking immediately after people get back from their summer vacations after Labor Day this year, you're going to be seeing a lot of momentum and push towards gearing up towards the for the midterm elections for both sides. Both sides understand the importance of the midterm elections next year, and that's what all of this redistricting and what's going on with these states mid-decade redistricting. That's what this is about. It's about the midterms next year.
Convinced that if Texas does not take this action, that there is a extreme risk that Republican majority will be lost. And if it does, the next 2 years after the midterms, they will be nothing but inquisitions and impeachments and humiliation for our country.
Listen what he's saying. This is a Texas legislature talking about if we don't take this step to redraw our districts, if Democrats, these are the stakes, and everyone understands the stakes in the midterms next year, that if we do not do this, if Democrats take control of the House of Representatives next year, they're going to investigate Trump again, which they've been doing for over a decade. That's what they did in his first term. They're going to impeach him again, which they did in his first term. That we understand that these are the tactics of the Democratic Party, to go after Trump, to indict Trump, to impeach Trump, to investigate Trump. So the motivation behind what Texas is doing is because they understand that if the Democrats take control of the House of Representatives next year, then they're going to do what they did in Trump's first term. The same thing. They're going to impeach. They're going to investigate. They're going to go after Trump and the way they have been. And quite frankly, when you're talking about over the 4 years of the Biden administration, Democrats losing all of this support and 2 million registered Democrats leave the Democratic Party and Republicans. I mean, what was going on over those 4 years of the Biden administration was indicting Trump. He was indicted something like 30 plus times. He was impeached as you're going into the Trump administration, or in the Biden administration. This is the second impeachment around January 6th. Yeah, all the January 6th stuff over those 4 years, and Democrats perpetuating January 6th. They had the January 6th investigation in the House of Representatives that they basically didn't allow the Republicans to participate in. All this stuff was going on over those 4 years at the same time that Democrats are losing 2 million registered voters and Republicans are gaining 2 million registered voters. This is what was going on during the Biden administration, during Trump's administration, investigations and impeachments. And what Texas legislator is saying is that if we allow Democrats to take the House of Representatives next year, then they're going to do the same thing, impeachments, investigations. So that's the motivation. These are the stakes in the midterm next year.
That was Texas Republican Senator Phil King. He's being surprisingly candid about why it is that Republicans were so eager to redraw the maps in Texas. They feared that if they didn't squeeze out 5 more seats, they would likely lose control of Congress. Let's bring in our Washington Bureau Chief Rick Klein to help us sort through what is at stake as the battle over redistricting goes national. So, Rick, is he right? Are Republicans going to need all the help they can get?
Yeah, John, the fight for the House is almost certainly going to be the biggest thing on the ballot next year. You see how tight it is now. After some special elections, Democrats are actually going to close this gap even more, we think, and they only need to flip 3 seats in the midterms next year to win control of the House. So there's no guarantees, but he is definitely
now, the reason this is like this, the reason that Republicans only have a 7-seat lead in the House of Representatives is the way that the districts are drawn in these Democrat states, in states like Illinois, states like, New York, California, New Jersey. These states are already heavily gerrymandered in the favor of the Democrats. That's why the Republicans in 2024 won almost 4 million more votes than Democrats did in the House of Representatives. 4 million more votes, popular vote, Republicans won over Democrats in the 2024 election. That should have garnered them a lot more than just a 7-seat lead in the House of Representatives. But the way that these districts are already gerrymandered in many of these Republican states is why Republicans only have a 7-seat lead, and they won the popular vote in the House of Representatives by more than nearly 4 million votes.
Something. And in this nationwide war over redistricting, we've seen the 2 biggest states go first. The biggest red state, Texas. You mentioned those 5 additional seats.
Look at all that red.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of blue. They're squeezing that big time. Now, what we're seeing the opposite in California, where the Democrats under Gavin Newsom are putting a map on the ballot for voters this fall that could get them those 5 seats back. So that would make those 2 states.
Only 4 Republican seats, 48 for the Democrats if they pull it off.
Now that's crazy. This is crazy. Only 4 states.
Only 4.
If this new map goes through in California, that's going to garner only 4 seats in the state of California to 48 for Democrats. And that's only a movement of 5 seats. That means that if that's only plus 5, that means that the current number of seats for Republicans is at 9, and Democrats currently have 45 or 43 seats in California. Now, in governor's races and Senate races, Republicans make up 40% of the vote in those races where everyone is voting for a senator or a governor. You have up to 40% of Republicans voting for Republican candidates, but if this new map goes through, it's only going to be 4 Republicans to 48. And the same thing's going on in Texas, but this is ridiculous.
4 Republican seats, 48 for the Democrats if they pull it off.
If they are able to pull it off with the voters next year. And then, John, if you look at the other states that might still do redistricting this year, bottom line, it is advantage GOP. There are just more opportunities in places like Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, and Florida than there are in some of the big blue states like Illinois and Maryland. So at the end of this, it looks like Republicans are going to be able to squeeze.
Why is it more opportunity for these red states, for these Republican ran states? Because Illinois and Maryland are already gerrymandered up the kilt. It's going to be hard to squeeze more out of Maryland and Illinois. I think Illinois only has, it's ridiculous the way the districts are drawn in Illinois. So the reason that Republicans have more movement is because these Democrat states are already gerrymandered.
Just a little bit more juice out of these redistricting fights.
Because if history is any guide, the Republicans are not going to maintain control of the House.
Midterm elections are almost always a referendum on the sitting president. Right now, Donald Trump, according to New York Times polling average, has a 44% approval rating.
According to New York Times polling average, so this is a New York Times poll, the YouGov poll, that Trump's at 44%. But if you go to the Real Clear Politics average of multiple polls, Trump's 2 points higher. He's at 46%, still below 50, but not at 44% like the New York Times says. So that's why I like to go to Real Clear Politics and look at the average of multiple polls, because look here, some polls have him as high as 54%. Some polls have him as low as 38%. So an average is 46%. So he's still below 50%, but he's not as bad as some of these. So Hot Carl says that if history's any guide, that Trump's going to lose seats or Republicans are going to lose the House of Representatives. What do you mean if history's any guide? And they're going to get into this. I'm going to show you what I've been talking about here in a moment.
Again, we have more than a year to go before we get there. And if you look at the history of recent midterms, an unpopular president means a very, very rough midterm election.
So that's what he says when he says, if history's any guide. Now look at the history here. In 2006, that's the main issue in 2006 was the Iraq War. Bush takes us into Iraq in 2003. Everyone was motivated to get Bush out in when he ran for re-election in 2004. That election was rigged. And John Kerry does not win the election, in which wouldn't have mattered if it was Skull and Bones Kerry or Skull and Bones Bush in that election. John Kerry, even though it was rigged, the day after the election in 2004, the morning while they're still counting votes, Bush's Skull and Bones fraternity brother, he concedes the election while they're still counting votes. And then even after John Kerry had conceded that election in 2004, on January 6th in 2005, when they Congress shows up to count the electoral votes and they have the opportunity to contest, Democrats contest, even though they didn't have a candidate, even though John Kerry had conceded the election the day after the election on January 6th in 2005, a House Democrat and a Senate Democrat, Barbara Boxer of California, joined together to contest Ohio's electoral votes in 2005. So in 2006, when they went into that midterm of Bush's second term, then there was a lot of motivation because of the Iraq War, the way it had come out that Bush had lied us into the Iraq War. So he loses in his second. Now they say if history's any guide, then Trump should lose seats in the midterm. Republicans should lose seats in the midterm. And they start their little history lesson here at 2006. Why didn't they show the history of what Republicans did in Bush's first midterm and Bush's, first term? What happened in that midterm? Well, he didn't lose. Republicans didn't lose the House of Representatives in Bush's first term, but Bush's second term and that midterm of Bush's second term, Republicans do lose the House of Representatives, and it was all about the Iraq War. And this is when Nancy Pelosi becomes the Speaker of the House for the first time in 2007. And then Obama This is when you have the red wave because of the Tea Party, because Obama comes in and he sold himself as a conservative Democrat. He comes in and completely, everything that he runs on, he basically, it is evident that he lied and there were all kinds of other issues leading to Obama in Obama's first term losing 63 seats in this red wave. And this is why I told you that the losing for Democrats, that it started in 2010. This is when it started. The American electorate had given the Democrats a lot of power in 2006, a lot of power. When Obama comes in 2008, Democrats controlled the House of Representatives and they had a 60-seat majority in the Senate. They could have done whatever they want. What they did, the electorate didn't like it, and Obama loses 63 seats in his first midterm in 2010. Then in 2014, and Obama's second term, his second midterm, the Democrats lose 13 more seats, and then they lose the Senate in 2014. And this is why I'm telling you that's what Ezra Klein is talking about in this article in November of 2015 when he says, "Don't believe the Democratic Party is in crisis." Then read this tweet referring to Roy Cooper's tweet. Under President Obama, Democrats have lost 900 plus state legislature seats, 12 governor seats, 69 House seats, 13 Senate seats. That's some legacy. So that's what's going on under the Obama administration. Unlike Bush, who, and you can say it was because of 9/11 or whatever, he didn't lose the House of Representatives. Republicans didn't lose the House of Representatives in Bush's first midterm, but they do in the second midterm. Obama comes in and Republicans get control of the House of Representatives in the 2010 election with this huge 63 seat red wave. They win more seats in 2014, plus win the Senate. And people acted like it was a big, mystery that Hillary Clinton in 2016 was going to lose the election and need the Russians to help lose. No, Hillary Clinton was following the trend. The trend started in 2010 and then it continued in 2014, and Hillary Clinton losing in 2016 followed the trend. And then we talked about when Trump had I was calling it the red wave in the last podcast. It's the blue wave. The blue wave happened in 2018, and that's when Democrats take the House of Representatives again in the middle of Trump's first term and his first midterm. And the issue that was driving this election was Russiagate and the Mueller investigation, and all the Democrats telling the electorate that Trump was a Russian asset. And the reason that you got to come out and vote for Democrats is because he's going to fire Mueller and he's going to get away with stealing the election. And we need Mueller to hold him accountable. So everybody comes out and they vote for Democrats and they get a blue wave, 40 seats in 2018. And then in Biden's, we talked about what happened in 2020. Everybody knows about the mail-in ballots and what happened in 2020. But in 2022, in Biden's first midterm, Republicans take the House of Representatives again. So what you got to understand is that this is a trend going back to 2010 of the Democrats being unpopular and losing. The only thing that they can hold their hat on and say that, we bucked this trend was this blue wave where they win 40 seats in 2018 using the Russiagate narrative. And then 2020 when they use mail-in ballots to win. So it's not a given that Trump is supposed to, or that Republicans are supposed to just lose the midterm because Trump's at 44-46% favorability.
Of recent midterms, an unpopular president means a very, very rough midterm election, particularly when it comes to the House. Barack Obama lost 63 seats.
Trump lost 40.
He knows.
Lost 40.
Yeah.
Remember how angry he was the day after that?
Yeah, because you guys used Russiagate.
That changed his presidency.
Because you guys used Russiagate and lied to the American people to get those 40 seats.
40.
Yeah.
Remember how angry he was the day after that midterm? That changed his presidency. He doesn't want it to happen again. But Democrats are facing some serious headwinds as well.
Yeah, and this is just a stunning analysis that the New York Times has out in the last couple of days. You've seen nationwide a drop in Democratic registration numbers. And in the battleground states, it's just as stark. Look at this. The share of registered Democrats down almost 4 points in Arizona just since 2020. Nevada, more than 8 points. North Carolina, Pennsylvania, all of these big battlegrounds have lost Democrats in large numbers, again, just this decade. So that just tells you how tough it's going to be for Democrats to fight their way back when it comes to control of Congress or potentially the presidency down the road. It's hard to create a wave if voters are fleeing your party.
Extraordinary that Democrats have lost more than 2 million registered voters just in the past 4 years, and Republicans have gained. Rick, thank you very much.
All right, so now they're going to get
Trump, White House Chief of Staff.
Now they're going to get into the panel, and they're going to talk about this New York Times analytic article showing how Democrats have lost 2 million registered voters over the last 4 years, the 4 years of the Biden administration, while Republicans have gained the same amount.
Capitol Hill bureau chief and senior Washington columnist Rachel Bade and National Review editor Ramesh Ponnuru. So, Don, I got to start with you with these. We talked to Rick Klein about this extraordinary analysis by the New York Times showing that the Democrats have just lost registered voters in pretty incredible numbers, more than 2 million gone over the last 2 years, and Republicans gaining about the same amount in the same time period.
Absolutely. And look, independents have also grown in their popularity. Democratic.
So listen to what she says. She says, absolutely, and independents have also grown, because what she's trying to say is that, well, all these people who left is being registered Democrats, not all of them went to Republicans, because independents have grown as well. But no, if you listen to what Hot Carl is saying, that at the same number that Democrats lost, Republicans gained. And we don't know if they're the same people, but we know that Democrats lost about 2 million registered voters, while Republicans gained about 2 million registered voters, Donna. And Donna Brazile, she's a major reason that the Democratic Party is in this trouble. She was in the leadership in the DOC. As a matter of fact, in 2016, after WikiLeaks releases the DNC emails, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz has to drop down from being the chairman of the party because she's exposed rigging the primary for Hillary Clinton. The person who takes her place and steps up to become the new chairman to lead Hillary Clinton over is Donna Brazile. Donna Brazile is the one who gave Hillary Clinton debate questions. In a debate that she did with Trump that year, Hillary Clinton got the debate questions early because of Donna Brazile. So Donna Brazile's been there. She's been a major part of the party and the party leadership at the same time that you see the decline in the Democratic Party. She's there.
Gone over the last 2 years, and Republicans gaining about the same amount in the same time period.
Absolutely. And look, independents have also grown in their popularity. The Democratic Party has outsourced so many of its functions to third-party organizations that did not produce the kind of registration number. This is a wake-up call, clearly.
So she's blaming third-party organizations, NGOs, groups that she says the Democratic Party outsourced to these people to go and get out the vote for us. So they're not taking any accountability, no responsibility. Again, she was there in leadership the entire time, not taking any responsibility. It was the third parties.
Did not produce the kind of registration number. This is a wake-up call, clearly, as Democrats gather starting tomorrow in Minnesota, where we're going to have to figure out what is the road forward. We have to do the basic things, but we also have to be prepared to do what Gavin Newsom is now urging Democrats of all different persuasions.
So Gavin Newsom, back to Gavin Newsom, he's the example. Gavin Newsom is showing us how to fight. So we got Gavin Newsom is the new leader, the new leader who's leading, and we need to follow behind Gavin Newsom.
Be prepared to do what Gavin Newsom is now urging Democrats of all different persuasions. Fight back, punch harder. Because if we're going
fight back, punch harder. That's what I was telling you in the last podcast. Gavin Newsom is nothing more than doubling down on stupid. You're doubling down on the same things that have made you unpopular, that have made people flee your party, that made people not want to have anything to do with you. That's what Gavin Newsom is, and that's what she's saying. We need to fight back and punch harder. It's not, that we need to make any changes or anything. We need to double down. We need to go full steam ahead.
Things, but we also have to be prepared to do what Gavin Newsom is now urging Democrats of all different persuasions, fight back, punch harder. Because if we're going to regain the Congress and get ready for the White House, Democrats are going to have to come up with a different playbook.
Let me stick with you on this for a second. We're going to get to Gavin Newsom in a second. But substantively, this happened while the Democrats controlled the White House, controlled the Congress. What did they? I mean, there's got to be a substantive problem here, not just tactical, different organizations. What substantively went wrong?
I don't think you want to allow me to devote.
She doesn't know
all of my time to what happened.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know what the substantive issues are with her party and why she doesn't know what it is. None of them know what it is. And that's why they're doubling down on stupid by championing Gavin Newsom, who's destroyed the state of California. Destroyed the state of California. It's insane. So she says, you don't want me spending all my time answering that question. No, you can't answer the question because you don't know.
Tactical, different organizations. What substantively went wrong?
That's the beautiful thing is they have no idea. And these people, other people on the panel are going to tell her what some of the issues are. And she's going to say, no, those aren't the issues.
I don't think you want to allow me to devote all of my time to what happened. But like I said, it was outsourced. This was outsourced to third-party organizations.
Outsourcing.
There was no one focused on taking care, feeding what I call mainstream everyday Democrats. And also when you have a party that is focusing on 6 or 7 battleground states, you're missing the moment. So it is a wake-up call. I knew long before that study came out that we were having a problem with registration, especially. I
knew that too. I knew long before the study came out last week in the New York Times. I knew. I've been telling people that this goes back. This goes back to 2010. This goes back to the Obama administration. I've known for a long time too. But if you've known for a long time, Donna, you were part of the leadership there in the DNC. If you've known for a long time, why didn't you guys do anything a long time ago to fix this problem before it became more of a severe problem like it is now?
Long before that study came out that we were having a problem with registration, especially with young people and, of course, people of color.
Well, first of all, as Donna knows, the most important thing in winning elections, number one, to know where your voters are at. And then the strongest indicator for that is voter registration. They're getting trampled in all 30 states, every battleground state.
All 30, we have 50 now.
Right, but there's only...
So that tells you right there that the New York Times article that they're talking about, that Hot Carl hasn't even read it. Because it says right there in the first paragraph of the article that there's 30 states that track voter registration by party. I mean, if you've read the article, you know what Priebus is talking about when he says 30 states.
In all 30 states, every battleground state.
All 30, we have 50 now.
Right, but there's only 30 that you can track with voter registration.
Point.
Sorry.
In the other 20.
Yeah, this is like natural for Donna. You can track it in 30. Yeah. Right. But the bigger problem is, the elephant in the room here is that the Democrats are on the wrong side of normal. They're out of step with the norms of society. It's so bad that the Democrats this week put out a memo, and they listed 45 things that Democrats shouldn't say. It's all therapy speak and explaining away
memo
crime.
From who? Memo from who?
Third way.
All right, so third way, this memo that he's talking about, this is a political article about the memo. The headline of the article, the woke words Democrats should cut from their vocabulary. And this memo came out to Democrats about the words that they want to cut from their vocabulary. This is the memo right here. And I want you to listen to some of these words that they want Democrats to quit saying because these words are making us look bad in the eyes of the electorate. Words like privilege, violence, what is that? Othering, dialoguing, triggering, progressive stack, seminar room language, subverting norms, systems operations, critical theories in there. Can't say that anymore. Does it mean we're going to move away from critical theory? No, we're just not going to call it critical theory anymore. Organizer jargon, radical transparency, small d. So this is the words that they came out with in this memo to all the Democrats, that we need to stop using this language because it's the language that's killing us. So that's what Priebus is talking about here, making reference to.
And explaining away
a memo
crime.
From who now? A memo from who?
Third way.
Third way.
Yeah.
And so it's all because it's not a matter of they can't put people on the doors and register people. That's all that is. It's that they're putting people on the doors. They're trying to win voter registrations. There are state parties, county parties, district parties, and they can't sell it because it's not normal. People don't want it.
Yeah, people don't want it.
Okay, so but Rachel, what I found interesting about this is that the Republican gains in registration are virtually everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, it's red states, it's blue states.
Across demographics.
And this happened, again, while Biden was president.
This happened under Biden. This analysis only looks at the 4 years of Biden between 2020 and 2024. I mean, this is huge. This is while Democrats are talking about January 6th over and over again, and having the January 6th hearings in the House of Representatives, and they're indicting Trump, and you have the Trump mugshots and the Trump hearings and raiding Mar-a-Lago and all this stuff. This stuff didn't help Democrats. All of the stuff that happened under the Biden administration actually contributed to the problems that the Democrats had. People did not like the fact that you were only focused after going after Trump, indicting Trump, raiding Trump. January 6th can't look at what really happened in January 6th, can only look at Trump's involvement, what Trump said. This is what the electorate didn't like. This is what contributed. And and the funny thing about it is that if Democrats take the House of Representatives next year, they're going to do more of that. They're going to do more impeachment, more investigations, more go after Trump. And it's exactly what the electorate doesn't like. This happened under Biden, that all of these registered Democrats left the party.
Red states, it's blue states.
Across demographics.
And this happened, again, while Biden was president. This happened over largely the last 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think Reince is right. I mean, a lot of voters think Democrats are out of touch. They think it's a party of the sort of elites, that they are sort of focused on political correctness. And there's a fracturing, too, in the American public where a lot of voters are uncomfortable with the party and its sort of move left economically as well, sort of the populist wing of the Democratic Party. But then
absolutely. They drove up inflation to 9% and continued to tell us it was transitory. That inflation is transitory. That is transitory. That there's no inflation. There's no big deal. And lied to us while they drove up inflation. So the economics is part. I mean, there's so many issues. It's not just one issue. There are many, many, many issues with the Democratic Party.
In the American public where a lot of voters are uncomfortable with the party and its sort of move left economically as well, sort of the populist wing of the Democratic Party. But then a lot of Democrats want to see a movement further left in terms of economics. So, I mean, the party has a real problem right now.
It's a huge bind. What she's saying it's a huge bind because many normal people, many moderate people that are closer to the center that believe that the Democratic Party has gone too far left, then you're losing them the further the party moves left. And then if the party moves back towards the center, towards those people, then you're going to lose the nut jobs on the left that you need. So the party's in a real bind.
They might sort of energize their base, which, shows up to vote.
And that's what Gavin Newsom does. Gavin Newsom is a sugar high for the far left. That's what he is. I mean, for the base. Yeah, he's gonna get tons of support from the radicals in the base that love this stuff. Yeah, you're going to get tons of them. You're not going to get people in the heartland, in the middle of the country, to vote for this guy. No way. So Gavin Newsom is doubling down and moving further towards the left, towards the nut jobs, and the centrists, the people in the middle that you're going to need. They don't want to have anything to do with Gavin Newsom.
They donate, et cetera, but then they alienate a bunch of centrist voters. And that's a lot of Americans who frankly feel like they're moving the wrong direction.
I mean, the unifying message now is Trump.
Yeah. But this is a long-running problem, actually. I think for many years, the Democrats counted on the sort of vestigial loyalty of a lot of working class people in particular who thought of the Democrats as their home. And over the years being taken for granted, that relationship frayed. And now the Democrats are finding they're not there. You can win elections even if you have a registration disadvantage. Republicans have done it in many states, but you have to win then a lopsided number of the independents. It's a tall order.
All right, so they started. There's 4 people on this panel. Hot Carl starts with Donna Brazile, says, what's going on with your party? What's the issues? She blames the third parties. It's the third parties and the outsourcing, not any issues with our message. I mean, when she says messaging, that's always the problem. They have to dumb it down for the dumb people because the messaging's the problem, but not anything, associated with our platform, not anything associated with the policies that we support. It's the messaging, and it's also the third parties not taking any responsibility. And then they go to all 3 of these other people on the panel, and they address real issues. These are real issues in your party that you're dealing with, just some of them. And now they're going back to Donna Brazile, and she's going to tell all these guys, no, you're wrong. It's not that we are not normal and that we're losing centrist because we're moving too far left and we've taken people for granted. It's not any of that stuff.
So here's the one thing, and I reject this notion that the Democratic Party or Democratic leaders on the other side of normal. We're on the side of working families. We're on the side of raising wages and protecting people's health care.
So she goes right into the propaganda. And we're on the side for working people. Working people don't believe you're on their side. Working people are fleeing your party in droves, lady. What are you talking about? So they're never going to change because they can't admit what the problem is, even when you're sitting there and telling them to their face, these are the issues. They're like, no, those aren't the issues.
Democratic leaders on the other side of normal. We're on the side of working families. We're on the side of raising wages and protecting people's health care, their Medicaid, their Medicare. That's who we are. Now, do we have a problem getting that message out to the people who need us most? Absolutely.
That's who we are, but we just got to communicate that better. No, that's not who you are. You're communicating effectively. We know who you are. People know who you are, and they don't like who you are, lady. And it's crazy. So Democrats, like I said, before, what were the issues that leading up to this article and this tweet by Roy Cooper? Ezra Klein says, don't believe the Democratic Party is in crises. This is 2015, they're in crisis. These are all of the losses that they had experienced, electoral losses across states, nationally. They experienced all these losses up until 2015. So what was contributing to that is that they sold themselves as champions of the working class, and that we're going to come in, we're going to hold the people that caused the financial crisis, going to hold them accountable. We're going to bring the troops home. We're not going to have an aggressive foreign policy. He sold himself as a conservative Democrat, that he was against same-sex marriage and all that stuff. And they come in and they do something completely opposite than what they sold themselves as in 2006 and 2008. So that contributed to a lot of the losses going up until the 2015 moving into the 2016 election. But between 2016 and 2024, what was driving all of these losses? What were these guys doing? And again, they were scheming. They were lying to us about everything, lying to us about the Russia Gate story, and saying that Trump was a Russian asset, and pushing all of that, which led into the Mueller investigation, which then after the Mueller investigation, the very first thing they did is they impeach him, actually impeach him twice. Then you move into 2020 with COVID, and what these guys were doing. It's just crazy that you have someone like Adam Schiff who tells all of these lies about Russiagate over and over again as a member of the House of Representatives, the voters don't kick him out of office. He gets a promotion. He goes from the House of Representatives and he gets a Senate seat. So he's rewarded for the lies that he told throughout all of Trump's first term. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Can you believe that this woman is still in Congress? That even though she had to drop down from being the chairman of the Democratic Party in 2016 because it's shown that she's rigging the primary for Hillary Clinton and rigging it against Bernie Sanders, and the voters in her district, they don't say we don't want a person like that representing us. They send her back to Congress. So the point I'm making is that these people have done nothing over the last 8 years, the 4 years of Trump and the 4 years of Biden, but scheme and impeach and indict Trump and go after Trump. And that has turned the electorate off. It has turned the electorate off. I showed you even before that article came out last week in the New York Times. We got data from the last election from the Catalyst report. And I show you, just looking at black voters, that, this is the trend of black voters in elections going back to 2012. In 2012, Obama got 96%. In 2016, Hillary Clinton got 93%. In 2020, Joe Biden got 89%. In 2024, Kamala Harris got 85%. That is a trend downward. Black men, look at black men. It's even more severe. In 2012, Obama got 95% of black men. In 2016, Hillary Clinton got 90% of black men. 2020, Joe Biden got 86% of black men. In 2024, Kamala Harris got 79% of black men. It's a trend downward. It's incremental, but if you don't address it back here, then it becomes more of a severe problem here. And that's what's going on with Democrats. This has been a problem that's been festering going back to 2010, problem that they should have addressed it after 2016, but they wanted to blame Russia and say it was Russia. It was the reason that she lost instead of looking at the core problems. And now, a decade later, the problem's more severe. Oh, man, I got plenty of time. Hopefully, I'm not going to be able to get to everything that I want. I wanted to get into this hacking stuff, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get into it, but I'm going to do as much as I can. I want to play this clip. This was a podcast that I was watching just the other day, and all of these people are black commentators. They're commentating on the Roland Martin show, who that's a black political news show. He's a Democrat operative, but he's got this guy Robert on his show, and on this podcast they are commentating on what Robert says on the Roland Martin shows. I want you to listen to what he says, and then I want you to listen to what this black woman says, the host of this podcast, what she says after Robert.
At this point in time, we can only, in the most vague sense, call ourselves a democracy because we literally have openly politicians picking their voters as if it's a raffle or a rally or they're on the pickup basketball court.
Yeah, they're doing that in Illinois, buddy. They're doing that in Maryland. They're doing that in California.
Hey, I want those voters over there, because they will keep me in power. We're not in a representative democracy where the people come together. And if you want more people to vote for you, put policies in place that will get more people to vote for you. You simply draw a line and cut out the people who don't support you. So we need to hold these folks to account and help them to understand come 2026, the reason they are running scared is if Democrats get control of the House of Representatives, that means on day one, articles of impeachment get filed against Donald Trump. That means on day one, you're going to change the chairmanships over so you can have actual oversight hearings where you can actually pull.
So listen to what he's saying. He's saying that if we're able as Democrats to win back the House of Representatives, the same thing the Texas representative says in the beginning of the clip we played from ABC this week, because everybody knows this, that if Republicans win back or if Democrats win back the House of Representatives on day one, just like Robert says here, on day one, articles of impeachment are filed. On day one, as soon as we get the chairman of the Oversight Committee and the Intelligence Committee, we start investigations and we start doing the same things that they did during the Biden administration that lost them all of these voters, that voters didn't like what they were doing, going after Trump, indicting Trump, all of these investigations, the impeachments. Voters obviously didn't like that because you're losing voters while doing that. And what he's saying is that if we went back to House of Representatives next year, it's going to be business as usual. Impeachments, investigations.
They are running scared. If the Democrats get control of the House of Representatives, that means on day one, articles of impeachment get filed against Donald Trump. That means on day one, you're going to change the chairmanships over so you can have actual oversight hearings where you can actually pull these people in. You can actually have an understanding of just how deep the Trump corruption goes. On day one.
Just how deep? Just so you can understand just how deep the Trump corruption goes. In Trump's first administration, we had a 2-year-long special counsel investigation. Rod Rosenstein gave Robert Mueller the authority to look at every single thing in Trump's life. There was no corruption. And now he's saying that if we want to get the House of Representatives next year so we can impeach and we can investigate and find out how deep the corruption goes. You mean after a 2-year-long special counsel investigation, you don't know how deep the corruption goes? What's wrong with you people?
So you can have actual oversight hearings where you can actually pull these people in. You can actually have an understanding of just how deep the Trump corruption goes. On day one, you can start, if you take the Senate, being able to defer these Trump nominees, pushing through new budget items, and getting ready to win back
that's
the
what
White House
voters
in
want.
2028. Donald Trump understands the entirety of his presidency hinges on maintaining power in 2026. The only way you make these changes he's made permanent is by them maintaining the House and getting a bigger majority in the Senate in the next election. And we need to hold these folks accountable. And we need to come together and realize that if you support tanks in the streets of D.C., they'll be in a city near you soon if they win in 2026.
All right. So let me say this. They need to be in the street near us soon because Chicago is a mess. And a lot of people in Chicago are asking for the National Guard to come in. But he keeps talking about the voting rights, being watered down, and so forth. And here's the thing, the Democrats, and he's mentioning, of course, we know if the Democrats control Congress, the first thing they're going to do is impeach Trump. What the fuck are you going to impeach him on? You have to have a reason. They don't have a reason. And this is the problem with the Democrats. This is why they lost the election. This is why they lost Congress, because they keep playing in people's faces.
They keep playing in people's faces. That's what the Democrats do. That's what they did over during the Biden administration and why they lost all of these voters and these registered voters. That's why, because they keep playing in people's faces. And these are voters that have been traditionally Democrat voters, that Democrats have been able to rely on. Black voters, traditionally. They can't rely on black voters anymore. They can't. And this is happening not only in the black community, this is happening in the Hispanic community, this is happening in Asian communities, and other communities that Democrats have been able to rely on these voters, and they can't rely on these voters anymore. These voters are leaving the Democratic Party in droves because they don't like the impeachments. They don't like the investigations. They don't like you indicting your political enemies. They don't like you doing that. That you guys have been doing nothing for the people but playing in our faces. That you have been doing nothing for working class Americans but playing in our faces. Everything's been getting more expensive. It's harder to survive. The value of the dollar is decreasing. Wages aren't going up nearly as fast as inflation. And you keep playing in our faces. It doesn't help us that you indict Trump. It doesn't help us that you impeach Trump. Why would I vote for that? And you're playing in our faces is what they said. So I really wanted to get into the hacking stuff and talk about Russiagate and what we know went on with the hacking and what evidence there is that the Russians hacked the DNC and hacked John Podesta, and they're the ones who gave all this hacked information to WikiLeaks And I wanted to get into that in this podcast. I have a lot of that I want to share with you guys. I don't have time in this podcast, so I went a little bit long in the first part of this podcast, but we'll get back into that, and we'll get right into it on Friday and talk about the stuff that I want to talk about as far as the hacking nonsense that led to the Russia investigation and all of this other stuff that went on in the Trump administration leading into the Biden administration. I will play this clip of Abby Phillips from her show. I mean, this show has been described as The View in prime time on CNN. She's got very few viewers that watch this show, but sometimes there's some viral moments that come from her show, particularly because of Scott Jennings. But she says something very interesting here on this panel. I want to touch on it, and then again we'll get back into it on Friday.
There is no evidence that there was some top-down order of political retribution in either the Obama or the Biden administrations. You can either.
They're laughing. They're laughing because it's funny because she's saying that there's no evidence that there was any top-down directives from the Biden administration or people in the Biden administration that was working with Fannie Willis in Georgia to indict Trump, or working with Alvin Bragg in New York to indict Trump, or that it was top down to appoint the special counsel in the Biden administration to indict Trump. She's saying there's no evidence that there was any top-down orders by the Obama administration to launch the Russiagate investigations and to from the Obama administration top down directing his intelligence officials to do a new intelligence assessment and determine that it was the Russians. That there's no evidence of that, is what she's saying.
Top-down order of political retribution in either the Obama or the Biden administrations. I'll concede to you that Donald Trump
made up like the Russian hoax, and they used information to go after Donald Trump to try to undermine his entire presidency. Okay. And they all signed their names to it.
Are you going to give me a second to talk or no?
No, but you can't say
Hunter Biden's laptop. What about Hunter Biden's laptop? That 51 intelligence agents said that it was Russian disinformation, calling people that were asking for the documents about Carter Page and the FISA warrants to be released, that was Russian disinformation. Anyone, any black people that were online saying, don't vote for Democrats, that was Russian disinformation and the Russians were responsible. Anyone who did anything that was against the Democratic Party over those 4 years was called a Russian and a Russian agent. That was all part of it.
To go after Donald Trump to try to undermine his entire presidency. Okay. And they all signed their names to it. Are you going to
give me a second to talk or no?
No, but you can't say that didn't happen.
Listen,
it happened.
The Russia hoax. First of all, was Donald Trump prosecuted?
So she's saying it doesn't matter because Donald Trump wasn't prosecuted. Listen to what this woman is saying. She's saying, first of all, was Trump prosecuted? No, he wasn't prosecuted. That makes it worse. Because you told us over and over again that he's a Russian asset and that Mueller was going to prosecute him. And that it was Mueller time, and Mueller was going to find the evidence that Trump was colluding with Russia. You don't remember this? You don't remember them over and over again telling us that there was collusion? The fact that he wasn't prosecuted makes it worse, Abby. Doesn't make it better.
Dumping operation, what evidence we have seen in terms of the Russian social media campaign, their paid media campaign, and yes, the issue of collusion with the Trump campaign. There is significant evidence, much of it in the public domain, on the issue of collusion.
Significant evidence of collusion is what Adam Schiff says. And so the fact that Donald Trump wasn't prosecuted over the Russia after a 2-year-long special counsel investigation, this investigation is used to hurt him politically. It's used so Democrats can win back seats in the House of Representatives, which then they take that power and impeach him. The fact that he wasn't prosecuted, that doesn't make it better, Abby. That makes it worse.
Are you going to give me a second to talk or no?
No, but you can't say that didn't happen.
Listen,
it happened.
The Russia hoax. First of all, was Donald Trump prosecuted?
They did it to impeach
was he
him. He was
prosecuted?
impeached
Was he?
over it.
Okay, so he.
That's
Well, he
a
wasn't-
big deal. It's called overthrowing the
He wasn't impeached over Russiagate, and then watch what she says. But he was impeached over Russiagate, but that wasn't the reason that they gave us. So that it's funny because he says that he was impeached over it, but he wasn't. He was impeached over it, but that's not what they told us they were impeaching him for.
Hoax. First of all, was Donald Trump prosecuted?
They did it to impeach
was he
him. He was
prosecuted?
impeached
Was
over
he?
it.
Okay, so he.
That's
okay.
a big deal. It's called overthrowing the will of the people.
First of all, he was impeached
Why is that funny?
over his handling of Ukraine. He was not impeached over the Russia investigation.
So he was impeached over his handling of Ukraine. He wasn't impeached over the Russiagate scandal, and that's not true. And we'll get back into this in the next podcast. He was impeached because in his phone call with Zelensky, he was asking Zelensky to help him investigate CrowdStrike, and he asked about CrowdStrike and said this is the transcript. We've looked at it before. We've even listened to a reenactment of the phone call from Vice. We'll probably do that again in the next podcast as we picked it up. But this is what Donald Trump says to Zelensky in this phone call, and the reason that he was impeached. The impeachment was to further the cover up of the Russiagate scandal. Donald Trump says that I would like you to do us a favor, though. Zelensky starts asking about the weapons, and Donald Trump says, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot. What's he talking about when he says our country has been through a lot? The Mueller investigation, the Russiagate scandal. And at this time, it's over. Mueller comes out. He's not indicting Trump. He says there's no collusion and it's over. So Trump starts saying, all right, let's look into where this lie came from. So he's on the phone call with Zelensky, and he's asking Zelensky about CrowdStrike. I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot, and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation in Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike, 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 CrowdStrike. I don't know why other people are not picking this up. CrowdStrike is what Donald Trump was talking about with Zelensky in the phone call. This is why he was impeached. It had nothing to do with asking Zelensky to dig up dirt on Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or anything. It was because Donald Trump had started an investigation to find out where the Russiagate narrative came from. And he wanted Zelensky to help him to investigate CrowdStrike and the servers. He says right here, they say CrowdStrike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people. Who's the wealthy person that he's talking about? He's talking about Dmitry here. Dmitry, that one of your wealthy people. This is the founder of CrowdStrike. He's Russian born, and CrowdStrike had done tons of work in Ukraine, and this is who he's talking about. I guess you have one of your wealthy people, the server. I'm looking for the server, is what Trump says. I'm not looking for you to investigate Biden and dig up dirt on Hunter Biden. There's enough dirt on him. We want the server. The server. They say Ukraine has it. There's a lot of things that went on. So this is the conversation that Trump is having with Zelensky. And this is the reason they impeached him, not because he's asking Zelensky to dig up dirt on Hunter Biden. It's because Trump was looking into CrowdStrike and looking into where the Russiagate narrative started. And if there was any evidence that Russia had actually hacked the servers, and the only people that looked at the servers were CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike. I do have a few more minutes here. We'll listen to this interview of Dmitry. Dmitry is one of the founders of CrowdStrike. This, if we listened to the last podcast, of Donald Trump at his Durrell's property, where he says, Russia, if you're listening, I don't have anything to do with Russia. He says, we don't even know if it's Russia. Could be China, could be anyone else who hacked into DNC. We don't even know if it's them, because at that time, the only person who said it was them, and this is why Robbie Mook is saying that it was Russia, is because this guy and his company, the company that they hired, a private company, said that it was Russia. And I want you to listen to what this guy says. We're going to pick this up on Friday.
When we investigated back in May of this year, we believed and we came out with the evidence that the Russian government was responsible. What we now have come out with is evidence that it's actually directly tied to the Russian military, because The evidence that we uncovered is that in Ukraine, we're using this mobile.
In Ukraine.
We now have come out with is evidence that it's actually directly tied to the Russian military, because the evidence that we uncovered is that in Ukraine, the Ukrainian artillery forces were using this mobile app on their Android phones to help with targeting of their howitzer artillery missiles. And that app was hacked by the same group that we call Fancy Bear that broke into the DNC. They hacked the Ukrainians and were using that to track the location of those people and potentially use that to target them as well. And when you ask the question of, well, who would be interested in targeting Ukrainian artilleryman and hack into the DNC, Russian military becomes the obvious target.
So when you hear Donald Trump cast doubt on where this is coming from, he says maybe it's Russia, maybe it's China, maybe it's someone in their home. And then you also look at the numbers that roughly half of Americans aren't sure or don't believe that Russia's behind this. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it highlights that more evidence needs to come out, and this is one of the reasons we put out this report that establishes, we believe with high confidence, that it is indeed Russian military. And
we believe with high confidence. That's an intelligence. That's intelligence language. That we believe with high confidence. That they're not sure that it was Russia, but we believe when you put these things together that the same people that hacked this artillery in Ukraine and the same people that hacked into DNC, we believe with high confidence it's Russia. This is a private company that the DNC and Hillary Clinton hired.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it highlights that more evidence needs to come out, and this is one of the reasons we put out this report that establishes, we believe with high confidence, that it is indeed Russian military, and specifically the Russian intelligence agency of the Russian military called the GRU that's behind these hacks. And, we also encourage the U.S. government to come out with their evidence. I think it's a good idea for the president.
So we also encourage the U.S. government to come out with their evidence. That we have our evidence. We're a private firm. We're hired by Hillary Clinton. But we also encourage the United States government to come out with their evidence. And in the next podcast, we'll get into what the United States government's evidence actually was in the Obama administration. And that's what Trump is talking about in the phone call with Zelensky. And that's why they decided to impeach him, because they wanted to obstruct his investigation into how the Russiagate investigation started. It was about CrowdStrike. We'll get back into this in the next podcast. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.